Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We just hit 35.3k subscribers. Can we get to 36k by the end of the month and win our subscriber war? Please like this video down below and subscribe to the channel. But before we get started, I'd like to take some time out of my day to tell you guys about My Patriot Supply. As Americans, we need to be prepared, and that includes avoiding the long lines at the grocery store by stocking up on disaster food supply, and there is no better disaster food kit than the ones over at American-made My Patriot Supply. Take action so you're ready for what's coming and save $100 on a 4-week emergency food kit when you go to my special website, preparewithredeagle.com. Those that know what's coming are preparing today. Go to preparewithredeagle.com. That is preparewithredeagle.com. And it's been a long time since I actually did a prediction map for the 2020 presidential election between Donald J. Trump and Joseph R. Biden. I have filled in all of the safe states. I am going to fill in the rest of the states on this map, whether they are going to be safe states, likely states, lean states, or tilt states. Likely states will go to either party 5 to 10% in their direction. Lean states will go to the party 2 to 5%, and tilt states are going to be the closest, the states that are under 2%, and the battleground states that are going to decide this 2020 presidential election. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to start by filling out the states that I believe will go Democrat in the likely column. The first state I will start off with is the state of Oregon. Oregon's not really going to be that competitive, but at the same time, it's going to be a little difficult, in my opinion, to see the Democrats actually manage to win it by much greater than 10%. I believe Romney won it by 12. Trump won it by 11. Trump can get that down to like 9.8, in my opinion, and that's going to push it into the likely column as more third-party voters come home to the Republican Party. It's probably going to be a win by Biden, something like a 53 to 44% win at the end of the day in the state of Oregon. So we filled out Oregon. Another likely blue state is the state of Colorado. Personally, I do believe that the poll that came out today that had Biden up in Colorado by 18 points is BS. It would take Biden a 14% national popular vote victory for that to even have a chance at happening. And at that point, I really don't believe it actually would. In any circumstance that's reasonable. It seems like Trump could lose the popular vote by 3% in this prediction that I'm doing. He's still going to win the general election more likely than not from here on out if he loses the popular vote by 3%, but he's not going to lose the state of Colorado. At the same time, the Denver suburbs are moving the state away from the Republican column, so for that reason alone, it's going to stay in the likely Democrat column. Biden will probably win it by around 6%. The state of New Mexico, similar thing. New Mexico may actually vote to the right of Colorado, which is very interesting. It seems like Donald Trump's policies were working great for New Mexicans. If you look at all the economic metrics before what's happened now, New Mexico is seeing the largest improvement itself. And it really seems like the state is a lot of Hispanic voters and non-college white voters. Those voters I would assume to move into the Republican column a couple points, and you have a lot of the Gary vote coming home. Where are they going to go? It seems like for the exit polling in the internal polls for the Johnson campaign, they even said it was a 66 to 33 split at a minimum for Donald Trump in a two-way gun-to-the-head race. Trump's not going to get 66%, but Biden won't even get probably 30%. Trump probably is going to get around 40 to 50% of those voters. Biden might get 15, and the rest of them will go third party, probably going to Justin Amash. For that matter, I'm going to put New Mexico in the likely blue column, potentially closer to lean, and it could be one of those states that could sneak up on everybody and pull a random flip when nobody's really watching. So I believe the last state on this list that is going to be in the likely Dem column is the state of Virginia. Virginia has been a very close state. It's been the most common swing state, I guess you could say, for the past couple of decades. People always talk about Ohio, they talk about Florida, they talk about Virginia, but the establishment in Nova, and you have a lot of people moving there from New York, a lot of people moving there from California, a lot of people moving there from Asia and Central America that are pushing Virginia to the left. So it really seems like that, along with the establishmentarian appeal of Joe Biden, is going to push Virginia from the lean D to the likely D column for years to come, as Virginia becomes basically the new New Jersey, and that's going to doom Republicans in the future because they just lost a bunch of electoral votes that they had safe for a very long time. Doesn't seem like it's going to play much of a role this time around. I really don't think that Virginia is going to be a key factor or a swing state bellwether type of thing. So Trump is going to probably win without Virginia, assuming he wins. He's probably not going to win Virginia, but we'll have to watch the polling. But that's a state we'll put in the likely blue column. I don't think the Trump campaign is going to go after it very much. So now we can do the tilt blue states, the states that will go blue in the, not the tilt column. We're going to do the lean blue states. I believe that the lean blue state that I'm going to focus on here is Maine at large. Trump lost it by roughly around 3%. And I see Trump losing it again, probably by a narrower margin than last time. And this is a state that Trump could flip, but there really weren't any indications of a big trend happening in the midterms there or anything like that. We're going to put Maine at large in the lean D column. The other state we're going to put in the lean D column. Actually, I don't think we have any more that I'm going to put in the lean D column for now. There probably will be some in the tilt D column. But we're going to move over to the Republican side and do the likely Republican states than the lean Republican states. I think there is no better likely Republican state to start off with than the state of Iowa. Personally, in my opinion, I've seen a lot of the polls. It's like the one poll, the PPP poll, that's the Dem poll, that has Trump up by 2, had Hillary up by 2 in their final poll. Trump won it by 9. It really seems like Iowa's going to be a state that Trump has a very good chance at winning. I think he will. He'll probably win it by around 7 points at a very minimum. The most accurate poll from 2016 that actually underestimated Trump by 2 points has Trump up in the state by 10. So it does seem like Iowa's probably going to go in the president's column. It really doesn't seem like it's going to be that competitive. It's funny, you had all the Democrats talk about, oh, the farmers don't like him because of the tariffs, which is a fake news lie, by the way. The Farm Journal poll put out a poll, and it was after all the tariffs were done, and they said that the farmers had the highest approval of Trump than any president in modern history. It was like 83% or something absolutely ridiculous like that. So they absolutely love Trump in Iowa, and another state they love him in is the great state of Ohio. That state may actually be safe at the end of the day. It's going to have to be something that we watch, but Trump killed Joe Biden in the primary turnout there. It seems like he almost beat all the Democrats combined, despite the fact he was running unopposed during a global pandemic, so that's a very good thing. I don't think Iowa, I don't think Ohio are really going to be that contentious. Also, Maine's 2nd district, it did go blue in the midterms, mainly due to ranked choice voting, although they do have ranked choice voting again for the presidency, so it's going to have to be something that's going to be interesting to watch out for, but it doesn't seem like Trump will have a problem losing it. It still voted 8 points to the right of the country in 2018. There's not going to be a big leftward trend. If anything, I should be putting it in the safe column instead of the likely column, but it's fine where it is for now. Then we have the great state of Texas. The state of Texas, we're going to put that in the likely column. Seems like every early poll that has Trump either down by like 2 or up by like 3 in Texas, actually, when you weight the poll, it shows Trump actually winning by like 7 to 10 percentage points every time. I say at a very minimum, Trump is going to win the state of Texas by 500,000 raw votes. He's probably going to win it by 6 or 7%. We're going to have to wait and see when it's all said and done, but I will put Texas in the likely red column unless there's some massive transformative trend in polling leading up after the conventions that show it being contentious, but doesn't seem to be the issue, especially with Greg Abbott's extremely high favorable there. It really doesn't seem like Trump is really got a chance in hell at losing it, especially to somebody as low energy and low enthusiastic as Joe Biden. Partially why Beto O'Rourke did so well back in 2018 is because he had that enthusiasm support behind him. And basically, Joe Biden does not have that behind him. Trump does in that matter, and he actually probably will win Texas. He'll win Tarrant County, the big bellwether. He'll win that by like 5, and he'll win the state. So it's not really going to be that much of an issue. Although in the future, it very may well be 2028 and beyond, but that's a discussion for another day. Any other likely red states? I don't believe we have any on the map right now. We'll start with the leans, and this is the state that's probably the closest to likely. I'm going to say Trump's going to win it by 4. It's the state of Georgia. Georgia, definitely a lot of the early polling for Trump looking extremely well in Georgia, especially compared to 2016, where Hillary was up in the aggregate at one point. She was up by like 2 to 3% in the summer. Trump's actually doing very well. I think he's up by 5 or 6 right now. Although that's decreased from last month, I still think he's in a very good position in the state of Georgia, especially even in 2018 when you had a lot of in the rural areas, more trends into the Republican column. And no, I do not think that Stacey Abrams being on the ticket at all has a positive effect in Georgia for Joe Biden. But either way, we're going to put that in the lean red column. Any other states in the lean red column? We'll start with two more. I think we got two more. North Carolina. North Carolina is another state that I'll put in the lean Republican column. Definitely, the early polls show it neck and neck, which is a very good thing for Trump, especially when you weight every early poll. Trump's leading them. Even the polls that have him down by 4 or 5 points doesn't matter. All the PPP polls, yeah, they hit you with the PPP. It's nonsense, and Trump's going to win North Carolina. A lot of military families there. He's done great things for the vets. They're going to like him in North Carolina. Tom Tillis is going to be in a little bit more of trouble. I still think he wins, and I do think that Dan Forrest is probably going to lose, though, by a likely margin in the governor's race, although that could change. But it does seem like North Carolina is going to be in the lean red column. Same thing with Florida. Florida is usually in the tilt column no matter what. I'm going to put it in the lean column this time around. Definitely seems like the state of Florida is going to go to Trump. It is his home state now. Republicans even won it in the midterms. They won it in the midterm elections, which is crazy. In a D+9 electorate, they held the governorship, they picked up a Senate seat, and they didn't do too bad in many of the House races there. So that's kind of a good thing that Republicans were able to do so well in Florida. I expect Trump to do well in Florida. He will continue the trend in the Panhandle as well as the I-4 corridor, and he will actually end up winning the state by a wider margin than when he won it by last time. So right now it is 248 for Trump. It is 212 for Biden. It's time to fill out the big bad battlegrounds. We'll start off on the East Coast. The great state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a state I believe will actually flip to Trump. If you look at the trends, third-party turnout, if you do the proper weighting, Trump probably would have won New Hampshire by roughly 1% back in 2016, and I really would expect him to win it by that margin again. Before what was going on now, you had big rallies in Manchester. You have a great governor that's Trump-friendly and New Hampshire-friendly in Chris Sununu, and that's going to help drive out turnout, in my opinion. I think Trump is going to win and flip the state of New Hampshire. Plus, one of the two of the last three polls there that I've seen actually had Trump leading, and Republicans actually leading the generic ballot there, meaning they could potentially pick up a House seat. Not exactly sure if that's going to happen yet, but we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see on New Hampshire. Very well could happen. So that brings us to the state of Pennsylvania, another state that I believe Trump is actually going to win. You have a lot of the energy community there, the big energy community, and you have Biden. He wants to slow down fracking. He wants to do all these things. Trump is going to do a great job of painting Biden as a traitor to Scranton, a traitor to Western Pennsylvania, being somebody that was quote-unquote born there. Yeah, right. Hillary actually lived there, I think, more years than Biden did, although Biden was actually the senator from the neighboring state, Delaware. But I don't think it's going to matter what any gains that he makes in the Pennsylvania suburbs in Philadelphia. He is going to lose in western Pennsylvania and the middle of the state, places like rural Pennsylvania. If you're ever driving from Cleveland or Detroit to D.C., you have that big, crazy break in the highway, that big rest stop there. Those are the places where I believe that Trump is going to continue his improvement and continue to build on that and continue to do very well in, and that's going to be enough to carry the state to him probably by over 100,000 votes this time. It's going to be a state that Trump will probably steal from people that a lot of people don't really expect him to win. Kind of like Wisconsin back in 2016. It's going to be Pennsylvania this time. People are going to be overestimating Biden because of the home state factor. That's really not that much of a factor. So that brings us to the state of Michigan, another state I do believe Trump is going to win. Trump will probably win the state of Michigan by a very, very narrow margin. That's subject to change. Just drive from Detroit to Traverse City. Trust me. Trump's support is unwavering here. It really is. And you have Biden accosting the factory workers in Macomb County, and that stuff's not going to play out well. And you have somebody as low energy as Biden. Biden underperformed in the key Democrat strongholds. Yes, he got a higher turnout here than what they got in 2016. However, they're the really only primary, so you do have a lot of crossover votes, but that's beside the point. But at the same time, turnout in Detroit, turnout, I believe, in Flint, and turnout in some of the college towns was absolutely downright abysmal. And a lot of those places in the college towns, the college campus precincts, those voted heavily in Bernie Sanders' favor. And there's a lot of bitter Bernie bros, at least in the under 22 crowd. They're not going to turn out to vote. Especially as well, you have the people moving back and forth due to what's happening now, and that's going to stunt a lot of the lazy vote, the lazy college kid vote in this country, and that's going to help Trump a lot. That could help Trump by a couple 100,000 votes based off of the confusion caused by this whole pandemic thing that's going on right now. So I would expect Trump to hold the state of Michigan as well as Wisconsin. If you look, Trump beat Biden in Wisconsin in the primary turnout despite Trump running unopposed. Trump got more votes than Biden. In my opinion, the energy is very, very real for Trump, and I think he will maintain some of the gains he made in western Wisconsin, and he will actually maintain some of the gains that Walker made on top of him in places like the Wow counties, the Milwaukee suburbs, places like Racine. Maybe he'll win Kenosha County, the Bellwether, and he's going to hold Wisconsin yet again. Minnesota, I don't see it right now. It could. I have not seen any data out of Minnesota in terms of polling, in terms of registration, things like that. Very little from the primary turnout because it was kind of stunted because you had so many candidates running on Super Tuesday when they held the Minnesota primary. But at the same time, I'm going to put that in the lean D column, partially because you have the obvious possibility of Amy Klobuchar being Biden's VP, and that would swing Minnesota out of Trump's column, in my opinion. Even if it's not by much, Trump would be better off spending his money elsewhere unless consistent polling would show that it really wouldn't affect anything. But I really think it would. She's kind of popular. Nebraska's 2nd District went red in the midterms, both the House and the Senate election. I would expect Trump to win it, albeit narrowly. State of Nevada, it is trending Republican, believe it or not, but at the same time, is it really all there? Are the votes all there in Nevada to make it go Republican? I don't exactly think it will, especially if Biden wins the popular vote by roughly around 3, which is what I would expect right now. That's subject to change. I would expect Biden to narrowly hold Nevada, but it is going to get closer. It is going to get closer, in my opinion, but not for long because you do have things like immigration, things like unionization, people moving to Nevada, and that's probably going to stunt it in elections in the future. But 2020, in terms of Trump, it's up for grabs. You shouldn't ignore it, but it's probably not going to flip. This brings us to the last state of Arizona. You had a big third-party turnout in Arizona in 2016. That's going to help Trump, but you do have the big trend to the left that is potential in future elections in Arizona. That's going to help Biden out in this election. I do think Trump is going to win it. Democrats haven't cracked 45% there in an election since 1996. I would expect Biden to break that streak, but I still would expect Trump to win like a 49-47 type of victory there. So in my opinion, Trump's going to win Arizona. He's going to win this election 310 to 228. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. Join the Discord and subreddit. Donate to the Patreon or subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.